ebya kooti y'ensi yonna ICC okusiba mwami Museveni ne mutabani we ate kati bisituse buto anti banka y'ensi yonna naye ate kati ebyegasse ku IMF awamu n'ekibiina kya UN United Nations bonna beegasse wamu kati baagala Gen. Museveni abonerezebwe akangavvulwe olw'ebikolobero by'azze akola ku bannayuganda n'abantu bonna abali mu Africa. Bino nno biddiridde omusango President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine gwe yawaayo ennaku ezibuddeko emabega n'awaayo n'obujulizi bw'abantu 215 kati waliwo n'obujulizi obulala bwayongeddwayo awo nno gwajabagidde ate ku b'ebbaala abo bagasseeko bino yadde ku kisaawe ky'ennyonyi Entebbe nga bawamba omukulembeze Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine awo kajjampuni ate n'abalagala mu bbwa n'ebyabaddewo ku kitebe kya National Unity Platform abaayiye w'amagye ne poliisi ne maka g'omukulembeze Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine abaana abakubiddwamu abalabye obutambi mwabulabye n'abo abasibibwa obwemage awatali musango byonna kati ebintu byongedde okutabuka era bano bannayuganda be babikumyemu ababeera mu diaspora bakumyemu omuliro omunene omuliro mungi era nga bagamba nti tebagenda kuzikiza paka nga Gen. Museveni akwatiddwa kati omuliro guno gwe bakumyemu okwekalakaasa buli lunaku buli budde buli kuwaayo ebiwandiiko ebyenjawulo ebiwandiikiddwa abakulembeze ba National Unity Platform mu diaspora nga babitwala ku ICC babitwala mu UN babitwala ku IMF babitwala ku World Bank ebigambo byongedde okuzitowa Museveni watudde munanga abalabo bazinnaku kuba essaawa yonna ekigambo kigenda kubwatuka munnayuganda ogenda kufuna ku ssanyu era girogolola akagoye k'akalungi kono yambala ng'omukulembeze Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine alayira nga tumaze okugoba nakyemala John Kaguta Museveni njagala sio tulabeka video kano tukekenneenye mpolampola n'obwegendereza tukawulirize nnyo bw'oba olinawo wandiika ebigambo bino kubanga kati ekintu kyaweddedde namusetuse ku nnyoge munnayuganda manya kirina okukolebwa essaawa eno tubeere nga ate twewonya era n'okwegobako olumbulege lwa Gen. Kaguta Museveni tutandise.
Have been working hard as far as going to meet with like senators, meet with people in Congress, things like that. I've been in New York and met with the United Nations. My great concern with those guys are, they're pulling out officially on August 5th. And my concern was, what are we going to do with, hold on, something popped up on my screen, I'm sorry.
Oh, that is your video.
Okay, I'll turn that on. I'll turn that on later because it's morning here, as you know, and I'm not together yet. But anyhow, one of the things that are brought up in the meeting is what's going to happen to our brothers and sisters on the ground in Uganda. I was very concerned, as we all are very concerned, and they didn't get to say, of course, too much, but I was glad that God prompted me to, I went out of my norm and I went and I ran off a bunch of copies of all of the human rights violations, a lot of them that's going on, and I could see as the lady who was sitting there listening to us, I could see how disturbed the images that I was showing her. Matter of fact, one of our other comrades that was with us, he apologized for the graphic things that I showed. And I'm like, I'm not sorry. I says, if I can see this, and I was only in Uganda for 3 weeks, you people have been over there for years. How much more should you know? And why is not the UN doing anything to help the people? So they wanted us to take it a further step. They wanted us, now that was New York, where we were. They wanted us to take a further step to Geneva. So we're in the process of doing that. And also they've been inviting me a lot to a lot of their presentations and things like that with Geneva, the human rights and stuff like that. So we are moving forward. Never get weary in well-doing, my brothers and sisters. Know that God is with us and he will prompt us. If he can take a little American girl halfway around the world who has not even public spoke or anything like that other than in church and use me, You know, he can use anybody. You know, we just have to stay tuned to God and listen to him. You know, listen to that small voice inside you that is leading you to do things, because he'll never guide us where he's not going to provide for us. And, you know, I thank and praise God. You know, this struggle, I would have to say, was one of the toughest things in my life that I ever had to face. But I will say that God keeps me persevering no matter what. He keeps me going. So my encouragement for everybody here today on the platform, keep going no matter what. Treat the struggle like as if it's the first day, because victory's coming.
That's
You
right.
can believe that victory is coming and Uganda will be liberated. Thank you, Sister Dorcas.
Thank you so much, Tina. Yes, we'll be able to see Tina much later. We thank you so much for your work. Tina is a human rights activist and a powerful lady. Thank you so much. We'll be hearing from Tina later. Yes, I would say the same thing. No, I'm not sorry, you know, because we've got to show what is happening in Uganda, the brutality, you know, all the torture, the murder. So many Ugandans are tortured and murdered, and we are not able to expose or show that to the world. You know, they keep telling us, actually, most people are blocked on Twitter due to they call it gross or inappropriate sharing of images of gruesome torture. But what else can we do? Where are we going to show what is happening in Uganda? So yeah, we have to speak up and we have to show the world what is happening. Thank you so much for amplifying what is happening in Uganda. And I really pray that Uganda will be free. May God really open the eyes of the Ugandans, those that think they are working for the ruling party. You have to wake up soon. And thank you so much to you and the team. Thank you. Hopefully we'll be having Joseph soon and the rest of the team. Thank you so much. We will be able to share a clip at some point if I'm given time to locate it. Thank you so much. For all those that are viewing us on Facebook, you can touch the link, join the Zoom to give your submission or simply discuss with us. Thank you so much. Yes, Reginald, I don't know if you're ready to speak to us, because I thought, Reginald, hi, how are you? Please unmute. Are you ready to speak to us? Thank you.
Morning, Dorcas.
Hey, hi, brother. How are you?
Well, as long as we are creation of God, we continue to represent him at all times. I'm at work today, but I'm yet to head out to my post.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to say is, one, is like I had mentioned before, there's a saying that every time you're walking a certain direction or you're running a certain direction and you don't bump into the devil, then you're probably walking the same direction. If you are a Ugandan and you're comfortable about Museveni and everything that is going on, you are surely walking the same direction with the devil. So don't lie to yourself. Now, discouragement is natural and is human. But again, like the Bible says, with a faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. You don't need to have so much courage. You don't need to wait for the fear to disappear. No, you just need to believe that, hey, what is right, and speak against what is wrong so that you represent what is right. I know Ugandans, a lot of Ugandans believe in God. A lot of Ugandans believe in good. There's a time when enough is enough. You look around you. For those who are in the diaspora, you're called Ugandan because your identity is Uganda. And when you look in Uganda, you see the country is rotting. And that is a representation of you. You have to do something. You can't just sit and assume that you're comfortable. No, as long as you have that word attached to you, Ugandan, whether Ugandan American or Ugandan, wherever you are, say something. Silence is walking the same direction with the devil. Represent. Dorcas, for now, I'm just here to encourage people. Please, please speak out. It doesn't matter. Do not give in to timidity. Speak out. And Dorcas, thank you so much. And for now, I'll try to return later, but God bless you so much.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much, brother. Yes, our role is to speak up. We've been speaking out, and this is why we've been speaking out. Why we've been speaking out to this very day. So our role is to speak up. We've been speaking out, and will not.
For the rot and dysfunction in the regime, in the economy, and in the I wouldn't call them institutions, because I mean, I've not really studied the budget closely, but I think just at a glance, I can just make a brief commentary. As the Honourable Member of Parliament, Semiju, aptly puts it, I mean, crunching those figures, looking at, for example, the dictator's clothes per year, per annum, is 350 million. Now, this is money that could sponsor maybe a hospital or a number of schools. It is money that could be used to pay, for example, the doctors whose salary increment has not been honored. This is money that could be paid to the UPDF soldiers who have gone without pay for the past, some for as many as 27 months. Clearly, this is a dictatorship that is not even benign, but very destructive, a very destructive dictatorship, very detached from reality, very detached from the needs of the general populace, and we cannot carry on like this. I think you recall very well that the very man who wears on average, who spends 1 million per day on his clothing, or rather on his clothes, the very man, you remember, he just recently froze the poultry or the little allowances that soldiers earn, you know, as they, I mean, when they serve as bodyguards or when they are deployed. You just heard the cries of one of the drivers of the judiciary, who actually threatened suicide by ramming his car either into a stationary trailer or whatever object, and he was imprisoned. So clearly there is a very deep-seated dissatisfaction, very deep-seated frustration amongst different sectors of the Ugandan populace. And the government is not doing anything to address these issues. Instead, it's just clamping down. For example, the driver was arrested and incarcerated instead of really addressing the issues that he raised. So there is need for a comprehensive review, a salary review, and these issues need to be addressed. We are sitting on a ticking bomb. We just saw the bodyguard killed the minister he was guarding, and very, very sure, I think you've seen that there have been copycat actions that have mushroomed and we expect many, many more. Gun violence is now on the increase. There are spades of, in many incidents. Just last night, I think a girl, a lady was shot as she mistakenly went to a wrong door, thinking that was her boyfriend's apartment or house, and she was shot. So this is a concern. But all this, whether it's the corruption, whether it's the violence, it is all but a reflection of the bad governance that Uganda has suffered for the past 37 years. So something must give, ladies and gentlemen. And it's only you and I who must make things change. That is why there is need to mobilize. Remember, we just had action on the 8th of May, and we are still in the protest mode, by the way. So continue to mobilize, continue to organize, continue to speak to your people deep down in the village so that they know what is really wrong. Sometimes things are wrong, but people are not able to articulate issues. So I think all this is what is happening is relatable. People go without food. People work, but they earn so little they cannot pay for school fees for their children. When their families are sick, they cannot pay for treatment. So it is a it's a life of distress, constant distress, and that has to stop, ladies and gentlemen. Sadly, we have a regime that absolutely does not understand what is going on. For example, musicians were given 60 billion shillings just to organize their music, whilst we have Katonga Bridge that has broken. That is a highway that connects not just infrastructure within the country, but also it connects infrastructure to the neighboring countries. So this is needed. That is where this money should be spent, or rather this money should be spent on doctors who are on strike, interns who are on strikes, and other professionals who have threatened action. So ladies and gentlemen, we demand good governance. We demand and we would like to reclaim our political spaces. So join me to mobilize our people as the people wait for further action, as they wait for new messages. Let us continue to mobilize. So there is no relenting. On the contrary, we need to redouble our efforts. We need to re-energize. Please, Comrade Dorcas, I yield the mic to you. Thank you. If Comrade Dorcas is not there, I can take the first hand.
Yeah, let's take a hand. I was trying to put something on screen. I hope you can see the richest people in Africa, and the so-called president or the dictator of Uganda ranks second. I will drag this so that we get through this to the second. So that's
Dorcas, if I can just comment on that. This is a man who has duped people all along. Remember when he came to power, then of course he was a Marxist, then he had a different mindset, and then he had different value system. So, but then now he got so corrupted that now he stands there and lies to the country that he earns only 3 million. Which 3 million he gives back, I think half, and then he just takes home 1.5. But he forgets that they are making supplementary budgets almost every quarter on top of the money that has already been appropriated. And remember that the State House even has a bigger budget than even the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, which is a big scandal. That is a complete disconnect. So then he stands and always tells people how much he offers, how much he has sacrificed, by serving the country. But this is a very corrupt man, and he uses proxies so that it's very hard to make a money trail to trace corruption to him. He has proxies, and then he uses offshore, banks to hemorrhage away the money. So this man, he's very, very corrupt. He's a murderer. He is a vote rigger, so name it, all the bad things. So ladies and gentlemen, that is why we cannot afford we cannot afford an extra year. The 37 years that he has done, that he has been in power, he has run the country aground. The time is now to make that change. Yes, so I think I just wanted to comment on that he lies and he's a hypocrite. He's double standard, he's a man of double standards, says one thing, does another, preaches water, drinks wine. That is their date. So comrades, I think let's take our next speaker. That would be Dr. Mgeni. Dr. Mgeni, please unmute and speak to us. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Relax the way. Yeah, please.
Okay, I think I did. Okay. Doctor, you're unmuted. Thank you.
Yes, I was waiting for you to unmute me. Good morning, good evening, and how's everyone? I'm here in my bed, relaxed, tired.
I can see that.
And,
okay.
Well, Joe, you said Samuel's video. Video setting the tone. For me, that's not what is setting the tone. For me, what is setting the tone is medicine. There is an image. Okay, there is that girl called Shukiwa Bobi with a 6-month-old baby. In pediatrics or in medicine, when a child is sick, we say you admit the mother. That very word is used in prisons when somebody is arrested. They say you admit. And I was like, how can we have a very cold world? I call it cold. And if you see my tweet, I have just asked prisons or whoever has done this, that yes, this mother is being admitted, but what's the crime? What's the problem that the child, because in medicine we say admit the mother because you can't admit a child. You admit the mother, and then of course you'll get the history. So what is the story here? Such that you pick a mother with a baby in the hands and you take to prison. And then it is hurting so much that I am trying to look, I try to attach it to UNICEF, I try to attach it to Malago Children's Ward, I try to attach it to the Uganda Medical. I'm like, why are people so cold? I call, it is closing our hearts to pity. We're being trained to be unkind because that child sets the pace for going to prison. That child. And then you're like, but what else? Anyway, it is Reginald who said it, that things are just upside down, whether you want it or not, because that image sets the tone for me. Because I'm a medic, if you are admitting the mother, you must be kind. That's the word. You must be kind. They are in need. So how do we say women in police, women in prison, anyone who has done this is that cold, that you're picking a nursing mother and you're taking them to prison and on a trumped up charge, the charge being that they manufacture weapons. This is horrible. That woman cannot make a gun. She cannot make a bomb. She can do nothing. So how much do we need? How much pain must somebody inject into Ugandans to understand, to feel it? because whatever, that stealing is normal. The stealing of money has gone on because corruption is a way of life in Uganda. But admitting getting a child and taking a mother, that is totally not cultural. It's not Ugandan. It's not anywhere in this world. And I'm asking, like, now, where is the world that cares? Because Uganda, we don't care. So I was trying to say, who do I attach to this video? Who do I attach to this child? So that this mother comes out. She's a nursing mother. And now you're traumatizing a child because, one, you're not going to feed the mother so that she's able to breastfeed this baby. Two, maybe the child is going to develop other infections because always children go to wards and come back with other diseases. So why this line just kills Ugandans? You can't even talk about homosexuals. You can't say anything. So I'm that annoyed. I'm that mad. It's like sometimes I just need to close off myself from social media because some of the things don't represent me. They don't. As a medic, that medicine that I subscribe to, that would set tone. That would set tone. So what social structures, what has been, so we call it, who have we given this child to take care of? A surrogate mother? Are you sure it has been done? Ugandans. I mean, I am even annoyed with you people online, right? And yet you're not the ones who have done it. It's just madness. And I'm like, but why can't it even, is it politics? Why can't it even be posted? I was like, do we really understand what we are doing? Do we really understand what this casts the world? Do you know the kind of community or the next generation you are creating? A child to prisons with a mother because you have forged a case. Joe, I think let me first recover. I'll come and debate something else. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Comrade Mugenyi. That just speaks to the dysfunction of this of the institutions. It just speaks to the rot. It just speaks to the bad governance, which again is I think is reflected in what Simju was saying. But of course, clearly this is it is extreme. I mean, arresting a mother with a young baby, and incarcerating them, well knowing there are no facilities. I'm very sure there are no facilities. So you're really condemning this child to all manners of risks. I mean, from the simple infections to whatever. It is just uncalled for, and it must be condemned in the strongest terms possible. So please, let's rally together and demand for the release of this lady. That kid is innocent. And we know, as James said, all these are just trumped up charges. The dictator is desperate, and he thinks by clamping on people, it's going to save him, but it won't. But we need really, I think, to make a lot of noise to get these people released sooner than later. Yes, Comrade Iga, please, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, just before brother comes on, just wondering, Joe, is it only Honorable Semuju Nganda that is speaking? What has happened to all the MPs? Perhaps we should do something about that. Are they all dead? Museveni asked for billions. He just asked how much, and he just asked for money and whatever amount he's given. I don't know. We need to really do a series on the parliament. What is the role of parliament anyway? Why are they dead? Is there just one individual that is awake? Yeah, so it is annoying. Yeah.
Comrade Dorcas, I don't know if you remember, but Donald Trump said he was going to Washington to drain the swamp. But when he got to Washington, the swamp drained him. So these members actually had gone to Parliament to drain the swamp. Instead, the swamp has drained them. So they've become part of the system, the thieving system, the corrupt system. They're bribed day in, day out. They're completely quiet. And to us, that is complete. They're being complicit in what is happening. So we hold them accountable. These are members of parliament were elected on a mandate. And as a matter of fact, they were elected on a revolutionary mandate. They are supposed to disrupt the system, not to become part and parcel of the system. Sadly, that is what they've come. They are so quiet, and it is very, very, very concerning. Very, very concerning.
It is sad,
yes.
And sad, very concerning indeed, alarming that people have chosen to just steal as much as they can, plunder the nation completely. I don't know. It almost feels like they are going to take off to a nation of their chosen destination and maybe forget or do away with Uganda. It is terrible. So I don't know. We need to get talking. Ugandans, friends of Uganda, please let us discuss how Uganda is going to be free. And you are part of the solution. Thank you so much, Joe. Yes, Brother Godfrey, please speak to us.
Yeah, good evening, good afternoon to everyone on the platform. Yeah, thanks very much, Joe and Dorcas and Dr. Mugeni. I have same sentiments as Dr. Mugeni regarding Shuki. Now, Shuki is the one who, her best friend was mowed down by the police. That's written out to her idea on this, because I trust them that much. But it's very sad. Yeah, and on another point, what Honorable Semujonganda was saying, yeah, what happens with the news you get from Parliament, sometimes you don't get the full pictures of who done what. Now, on our side of NOP, they only give us the leader of opposition, who packs a lot of stuff in one sitting with the speaker making the usual childish was that PLE speaking as if she never really went to university. Now, Semuju makes a good point. We go a lot of legislators who are maybe willing to talk, but they are inexperienced of how they can raise their point. Thus, we can forgive that, but they should learn from the seasoned politicians how to make their voices heard. We had Honorable Narima was with the Wachiso district chairman fighting for the environmental degradation of our swamps, because she wasn't on the floor, but she was in the field. That's what we want to highlight it, because of the abuse of the land given to those in power and the foreigners who are so-called investors, while we lose the country. Because it ain't gonna take long before we have anywhere to call home. Because we won't have no environment to manage.
Stay home and wait for the message. I'm ready for the signal. So please, even if there is no action that has been called for at the moment, just stay and continue to mobilize the people. You recall that the dictator mobilized so massively, and the soldiers had been given an order to shoot to kill. So if people had come out, I think there would have been a bloodbath. Tactically, the people stayed home, but still, we scored some points from that perspective. So continue to mobilize. We must dislodge the dictator. We cannot carry on like this. I mean, this is a man who is just where everything is designed to steal from the state. So we continue to mobilize. Comrade Iga, I think you still want to. I think you want to come back and say something, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. Now, I'm saying with the sacrifices, our people should really boycott even attending shows to the musicians, yeah, at this point in time because we are not free. Yeah? Because until we are free, they should boycott all these shows because they are meaningless when the whole country is oppressed. And if you are oppressed, you go in these functions in droves. It doesn't show the world you are oppressed. It means there are things are normal. Now we shall encourage and we shall lay down the ground rules that no freedom, no festivities to be attended to. And that's as a final, either we take other actions necessary so that people wake up. Because there's no point of people coming crying to me that they haven't got anything to eat, they haven't got this job, they haven't got that, yet they go to these concerts overnight and in droves, which is unacceptable to me because we are not free. The country is not free. There's no point of paying taxes to the regime through these concerts which are held. It's up to the musicians to make sacrifices because it's unacceptable now for them to put on these big shows which are not anyway building our country. And I think we should have this policy of no to attending these festivals or concerts until we are free. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. And you bring up a very, very good point. I think we really need to know what is happening in the entertainment industry. What the dictator is doing is trying to, again, to capture the entertainment industry actually has done that by controlling content, by controlling, yes, music or entertainment that is consumed. And that has to kind of tie into his narrative, you know, of deceiving and lying and ruling Uganda. So, and we know that, entertainment is always what is called soft power. We can use that, and we can see the messages of the president. Those are the messages that he has used to educate the people and inform the people. So they want to control that narrative so that nothing controversial can be generated. So that is something that we must be concerned about. Yes, we are drawing close to the hour of silence. So please, let's stay silent for a minute as we remember our departed brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Brother, it is sad that so many of our brothers and sisters have gone to their graves so early. You know, of course, we are all bound to die someday, and it is sad that these children or these young men and women have departed so soon. And this is due to the brutality of the dictator. You know, they claim it was bullets flying, random stray bullets. Why would there be stray bullets? We keep asking, was Uganda at war? Was it a war? You know, that the elections actually turned out to be a war, you know? So it is sad. And to this present day, they're still killing and abducting people. We just have been talking about Shuki, and who has been abducted with her 5 months. In your hands, let us take action, because freedom is not going to be handed to us on a silver platter. We have to fight hard for it. Thank you so much for that, brother. I give you back the mic. Thanks. Yes, we will be closing in an hour. So we would like to hear from you guys. If you request for the mic, let us have a discussion and then close. Yes, Joe, what's on your mind?
Well, I think the theme is we continue to speak about bad governance that manifests itself in many different forms. We just looking now at the spate of gun violence incidents. It's now almost guaranteed that on a daily basis we're getting news about somebody killing another person or killing oneself. So I think this goes to reflect or to speak to the level of frustration, the level of mental health that people are suffering from because of the different types of stress, particularly financial, economic stress. People are so stressed, and they're not really saying. I don't think they don't even have an avenue for expressing their problems. But people have taken on loans. The salary they receive is so little, so you could blame the people have taken on loans. But this is a general situation, and as a government, particularly in the post-COVID time, in the post-COVID period, what policy did the government really enact to address the issue? We've seen countries like Kenya, countries like Tanzania coming up with kind of stimulation packages, to alleviate the economic problems that people faced. There was loss of business after being in a shutdown for 2 years. Businesses suffered, businesses closed. So really, many people they've not recovered from that. And what happened is that the government collected money. Now, this money could have been used as a stimulation package to help the people, to recover or to revive their business. Instead, the regime stole the money. The officials stole the money. They built shopping malls, and all this is at the expense of the people. So Ugandans are on their own, and they have to deal with these issues. So that is why really we must mobilize. We must come together and cause some action. May I this juncture invite Comrade Joseph to take on the hosting, and then he'll take the hands. Yes, Comrade Joseph, please. I welcome you to today's session. I yield the mic to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joe and Dorcas and everyone that is here today. Thank you so much for keeping up the flame coming to these sessions every time to speak about our country. But I'm praying that we actually manage to go beyond our lamentations and cause action on the ground. And us here on the diaspora to continue to do what we need to do to rally the communities we live in to our cause. Well, thank you so much. I came in late, I'm sorry about that. And you were talking about the kidnap of the young lady. I've actually not followed too much so this US, UK. We need more action. We need more proactivity within us, within the opposition on the ground. Because I don't know if you noticed, we just had a hearing of a new ambassador to Uganda in Washington last week. And of course, they asked him about the human rights situation in Uganda and how concerning that was. And then at the same time, they said, but Uganda is important because of US interests in security in the region and Somalia and refugees. So basically, the US says they're aware of all that's happening, what the regime is doing, but their interests trump everything. So what does that say? That means unless we Ugandans really kind of rise up and take show them that their interest may be jeopardized by keeping this dictatorship in power. Will anything change? So it's really up mostly to us to really show them that we're tired of the regime. Right now, so long as these things happen, they abduct young ladies and all the oppression continues, and we don't. I know, of course, as we said, there is so much danger on going to the streets. We'll be killed, we'll be doing whatever, but we need to do more. Go to the streets or go to these embassies, just pester them, as much as possible. Go lobby them, go take petitions to them. Like this lady was abducted. I don't know if any petition has been presented to anyone. Obviously, Uganda Human Rights Commission is especially in the opposition. If the leaders are not going to do it, let the people organize themselves as much as possible and go and demonstrate to the embassies. Even if it's a few, take a petition and demand some action. So now the other issue was the Katonga River, which was swept away . Environmental degradation, the cleansing is really degrading our economic potential. So these are kind of issues which we need to point out to our so-called development partners and say, you guys, there are real implications for you continuing to fund this regime that does not without holding it accountable for how the money is misspent, and for its policies of allowing these kind of Chinese and other so-called investors to degrade the environment in Uganda. And of course, that comes in with ECOP. ECOP is going to exacerbate that situation. It's going to cause more swamps. So basically what happens when the swamps are degraded, the water has nowhere to go. The swamps kind of filter the water and absorb the water, but when you build into the swamps, now the water is nowhere to go, and it just goes and floods everything. And that's where the situation we're in. A lot of people have lost their homes. Some factories in that area were swept away, which is, I don't care about those factories because they were put where they were not supposed to be. But the people that are neighboring the areas, their whole economic situation has been disrupted. And ECOP is going to do much, much more because it's going to go through like 10 districts. And many hundreds, over 130 villages are going to be affected by this ECOP. So we need to continue talking about ECOP. Likely, most banks have now said they would not fund ECOP, but now the regime noting that the West is mostly backing out, has said that they're going to depend on Chinese funding. So what we are now thinking of is to put more pressure on the company Total, which, of course, we've already been protesting against Total, but many of our partners in the West have been focusing on the banks because without financing, the pipeline cannot be done. And as far as financing is concerned, we are almost successful in the sense that most banks have decided not to finance the pipeline. Now they turn to the Chinese. Of course, the Chinese cannot be influenced by things like, well, they could be influenced, but they're less accountable. So now we have to put more pressure on ECOP. So next week, we're thinking of having an action. We found out there's a protest. I mean, not there's a protest, there's an office, a Total office in New Jersey. So we are planning to see if we can go there. It's kind of an idea just came up yesterday, so maybe a bit short notice to kind of go and really put pressure on Total because they have the biggest share. And if they can withdraw, despite Chinese funding or not, that pipeline will be doomed. So we need to put more pressure because, as I think you guys said, we only have one country, and we may lose entire country because Museveni doesn't care. No, whether the swamps, the lakes and the rivers are polluted and everyone is flooded out of their homes, he does not care. So we need to stand up. Luckily, on ECOP, a lot of environmental climate change organizations are with us. And so wherever you are, whether in Europe or UK, if you see anything, any organization that is talking about climate change, please join them and speak up about ECOP, because this is our heritage. Our forefathers protected the environment. They're very clever. They allowed the swamps to, they knew the value of the swamps and they protected them. But this so-called enlightened government, or thinks itself enlightened, is actually destroying our heritage. So that is it on ECOP. Now, I don't know if anyone saw the Chief Justice, Winnie Dolo, I now call him Chief Injustice, talking about if you steal from a thief, you are not a thief. And basically he was talking about the, I don't know if people saw, if anyone saw the charcoal dealers in Pedea, in Acholi sub-region, who were, they had bought charcoal from local charcoal dealers in that region and loaded the truck, and Odongo Oto came with a mob and basically started whipping these traders with machetes. Whipping, they didn't cut them, but were whiplashing them with machetes. And basically, I think Odongo Oto considered himself an environmental activist, but he just whipped these people, and they already paid the charcoal. They took their charcoal and they went away. They took away their money too. And this charcoal happened. These lead dealers happened to be, I think, Baganda traders who were dealing in charcoal in traders trading charcoal in the region, buying charcoal from the local dealers. And so Chief Justice Owinyo Dolo, when he was speaking, he basically kind of made it. It was basically more of an ethnic appeal. I mean, not appeal. Like it sounded like an ethnic attack. That these guys are thieves. So if you're stealing from them, you're not a thief. So this is a guy who's supposed to be enforcing the law, saying you can take the law into your hands and you can steal, so long as you're stealing from a thief, it's okay. But so this is Owinyo Dolo who denied justice in the election petition case. The one who obviously has been harassing Justice Sisache, who dissented in his opinion, and the case is still ongoing. And the one who also made very insidious remarks about the Kabaka of Uganda, claiming when the former speaker died, that the Kabaka had been transported by without any, that had been transported by the presidential jet. So why single out, the former speaker, and then saying all types of things. So he's continuing his trajectory of making insidious remarks, which is unbefitting of a Supreme Court justice. And I think we need to start calling out these officials in high positions that are enabling the regimes, but also exacerbating the tensions. We should be united as Ugandans, but some people are more intent on picking on our differences which basically weakens our resolve to remove the dictator jointly. So basically that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening. Anyone has any questions or remarks or comments on anything? I see Iga. Iga, is this a new hand? I guess, yes. Let me call Comrade Iga first and then Mr. Mangere. Comrade Iga, can you please unmute?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joseph. It's really a very depressing situation, but the first note before I forget. Now, why would the Parliament, especially the opposition, agree to pass a budget, yeah, which they don't believe in? Yeah, and I'm of the view that they should abstain from approving that budget because it doesn't make any sense. It's within their right, yeah, and we won't blame them. All they have to do is say no. Yes, they are a minority, but the action of a minority might safeguard the majority. And at the moment when a country has got more pressing needs, you go that major road you were saying, repairing that road ain't gonna take 2 months, yeah? It's a major road. So why wouldn't they allocate, they do emergency budget to deal with the actual road network as they are at the moment? The first thing they do is the planning is never there. If a road carries that much traffic and load, it should be of a very higher standard. And by now they wouldn't have known because they are carrying more weight from across Uganda and across the borders through that road. You got the new trucks, which are sino trucks, carrying sands, which are quite heavy for that road as well. And it's a non-stop issue. And in order for us to rein in, protect the environment, stop sand mining, come out with the different solutions to reduce our sand consumption as well, because there are many things which we do in Uganda which are not really conducive for environmental protection. Rather, degradation is the issue. For example, sorry to say, but most graves are done using sand and tiles, and that's another sort of environmental damage. Yeah? So why would we want to do that? And it's only in Uganda or Africa where they do that. They don't do it in the West. Yeah? So why do it in Uganda? The amount of sand you use, the amount of tile which are non-porous, in fact, yeah, they don't allow for drainage, proper drainage. Yeah? It's really unsustainable. And these are the things, are the bitter truth which we need to tell our MPs or chosen leaders to front. Yeah. Yes, they might not be popular, but these are the things, and I don't blame Honorable Odonga Oto, because if people want to listen, then you have to take drastic action. Yeah. Just because you got traders going to buy charcoal, yeah, on wholesale terms, it doesn't make it right because they are participating in environmental damage. Yeah. And they are part of the problem. So if we stop the charcoal flowing, maybe people would wake up and we start from there. And the reason we are in problems right now is people won't get off their backside and make noise, yeah, necessary noise, because they are comfortable. But if they know the uncomfortability of the what they are sitting on, yes, they will have to wake up. Because we got enough resources in terms of electricity to get away from charcoal, yeah? And we can do that easily, yeah? So why export electricity while you are doing environmental damage? A part of the cutting down of the trees is what leading to soil erosion. The swamps which are drained or blocked is part of environmental damage. I don't care when you tell me, oh, I'm creating labor when I build a factory in a swamp. You are not creating labor, you are creating a problem. Well, why build in a swamp? Yeah? There are many better places you can build in, unless you can raise your factor up and allow drainage to go under. Yeah, maybe we can support you, but other than that, you are a target for our action, whether militant or peaceful. We will target those people who are our enemies. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Thank you so much, Godfrey. Yes, regarding the charcoal dealing, yes, it's true. People should stop cutting trees, but we have the NEMA, the National Environmental Management Agency, which is supposed to, and this actually, the funny thing is that the dealers are, they're buying the charcoal from the local traders, and because the traders are cutting the charcoal because they know there is a market for it, so the traders buy it. But we have NEMA, which is we wonder what these organizations are for. So the issue is not so much. It's true, people should, NEMA should be doing its job. They should stop that charcoal trading. They should stop cutting down on trees. They should stop the charcoal trade. And of course, a lot of Ugandans supposedly depend on that charcoal trade. And if someone is selling charcoal and there's a trader, they're going to buy it. So they should stop the trade business. So the issue is more about going through, using, they have organizations that are supposed to stop this work, this illegal forestry, cutting of the trees, and also just disallow the charcoal trade. I guess perhaps that's the thing, but the key thing is you should not allow vigilantism, meaning, just report these charcoal dealers, go take them to court and say, guys, this is a case, these guys are, are buying charcoal from which, enabling these local dealers to go cut the trees because they're giving them money for the charcoal. Go report the case, go to NEMA, say, this thing has to stop, but don't kind of like basically try to lynch people and steal their stuff, take their money and take their charcoal and that kind of stuff. So that is the case. In this particular case, that was the case. Yes, Odongo considered himself an environmental activist, but he actually was reported to police and he went to police and he was charged with theft and I guess and harm. But then the Chief Justice said, well, if you're stealing for a thief, you're not the thief. So that is basically as a chief of legal enforcement officer, you should not be saying that kind of thing. It's unbecoming. You should advocate for the instruments, the organizations that are supposed to protect the environment to do their job, to stop this and say, we should not have this kind of thing continuing. So I agree with you, environmental degradation is terrible, but we have complicit organizations that are actually giving and allowing these kind of activities to continue. So that is the only thing I would say about that. So let me call Mr. Mangeni to unmute and say something. Mr. Mangeni, please.
Yes, Joe.
Yes, Mr. Mangeni.
We are proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Like I always say, God brings angels in human form. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for standing as a Ugandan.
Thank you, sir.
And taking your time. Yeah. So yeah, I'm like you can see, I'm still on duty right now.
Yes.
But I want to say something. You see, when Semujunganda was reading that budget that Museveni is taking. Yeah. So there's one fact that came out. These guys have gotten away with so much. We Ugandans have let them take so much, get away with so much, and in many ways, by actions or lack of actions, have just let them feel like they have a palace, because that kind of funding is for people who think they are a palace and we are subjects that are funding the palace. You remember one time when Janet Museveni's wife was calling the parliamentarians to go and meet her. It is somebody who thinks that they are a queen and they are calling subjects to come and meet them. These guys are so hateful of Ugandans. And some of the facts that you've mentioned is the economic war that they have, started over time on Ugandans. And then on top of that, literally killing Ugandans and not accounting for anything. In 2017, there was a drought. And I was in Uganda at that time. That's when I'd been deployed by the Peace Corps. So people had lost a lot of produce, especially maize and all these other things. Everything was dry. The land was dry. The cows were dying. And like the government did nothing. But what came out that was really, really, really was so sad is around 2018, July, the rains started coming. So when the rains came, people planted a lot of maize. Now, the whole region really needed maize. Remember, before maize had risen to, like, a kilogram was 1,600 Uganda shillings. So people got loans and planted maize because the region needed that maize from Uganda. Kenya had been dry, Sudan had been dry, Tanzania was dry. So everybody was looking to the produce of Uganda because Uganda has fertile soils. So people planted maize, and thank God the maize came up so well. People harvested. As soon as people started harvesting, the government halted any exports. No Ugandan was supposed to export any maize, whether to Sudan or Kenya or anywhere in the region. And then they gave Salim Saleh the tender to be the one to supply outside. So because of that, the maize prices fell to 400. Now remember, people have borrowed money. They are putting so much money. They have loans, and now the government comes in. Museveni, the brother, takes over. So people went into debt. Imagine you've come from a drought and the government literally throws you to debt from a drought. Why are we saying this? Ugandans, these guys are not your friends. They don't love you, they don't care about you, and the only option you have is to stand and say enough is enough. Look around you, the country is rotting. Just look around you, get out of your house. It doesn't matter what kind of, where you live, get out, look outside, walk outside and see the country is rotting. Stand up and say no, enough is enough. All right, Mr. Senyonjo, again, thank you so much. Let me go back to work, and God bless you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mangeni. That was excellent. Commentary on the fact that the regime does not care about Ugandans, which of course is manifested in so many things that they do. Including favoring so-called foreign investors, giving them tax holidays, which then suppress the local business people who cannot compete with people who do not pay taxes on things they import. So a lot of traders end up in little shops, sharing 10 people in one little shop because they can't compete with the Chinese or Indian or whatever, who's not paying taxes for the stuff they bring in, and also have like huge wholesalers in China and India that can, provide stuff cheaply. So yes, thank you so much, Mr. Wangeni. It's up for us. Ugandans wake up and say enough is enough. We have to be angry enough to go to the streets, because if we don't stand up for yourself, no one will. Even in Ukraine, which is European, I mean, of course, Europeans are very care so much about Ukraine situation, about the human rights situation, and intervened. But they would, if Ukrainians did not stand up for themselves, they would, they would have kind of reach a point and say, you know what, we don't want to risk our trade and gas and energy from Russia, and we don't want to risk nuclear war. They would have reached a point and say, you know what, maybe we should negotiate something with Russia. But because the Ukrainians showed that they are willing to fight, they're willing to stand up, despite the massive superiority of the Russian machinery, and even the threat of Russia used many times said they could use a nuclear bomb. The Ukrainians said, well, we don't care, this is our country, this is the only country we have, we're gonna fight for it, we're not gonna, so that actually, and then the leadership of the Zelensky, who was a comedian, is amazing. He's like rallied his people. He never refused to flee. And of course, Russia has appointed intelligence capacity, KGB or FSB now as it's called. They can assassinate him any time, and they're very, very powerful. But he said, I'm staying with my people, and that rallied the people. So we as Ugandans, we also have to say, this is our country. You have to fight for it, come what may. There is obviously a lot of destructive power. The regime can kill us, but we have to also try to devise means of countering whatever regime can bring to bear, which is what the Ukrainians did. I mean, the amount of military capacity Russia has is incredible. But the Ukrainians say, despite that, we're going to try to devise ways of countering it. So even us, in the face of the guns and all that, we have to think of strategies. How can we do it? And I'm glad that Joe, you said this thing is still on, the mobilization, and I hope it does continue. And we think through how do we counter that mobilization that regime put on May 8th. So thank you so much, Mr. Mangani, for that submission. Be nice, please. Can you unmute and say what you need to say?
Hi, thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who has submitted those brilliant ideas. So I joined in when Joe was talking about shopping malls, how they have constructed shopping malls. And this is something that I have always found so laughable, the fact that jobs haven't been created, right? And people have been made to think that a shopping mall is progress. But you look at a shopping mall, what do? You shop, but before you shop, you have to earn. And what are the different sources of income? What are the different sources of ways that people could earn? Obviously, there's construction, there's roads, there's agriculture, there's all the different things that you could think of. Now, most people, and I would like to think that many people are complacent because they have been made to think, oh, have you seen how the city has improved? There was no shopping mall here, now there is one there, but how many people can actually shop from these malls, right? And what are the rates, and how competitive is the actual business economy in that area? So, and then it made me think, or reminded me of when the UK, when supermarkets started growing, like they started building big supermarkets in different areas, and they realized that these supermarkets were pushing away the locals who had small shops of licenses and stuff. So one of the things that they came up with was for a supermarket to expand or to build or come into an area, they were required to, and I think they still are required to build apartments above the supermarket. So they bring in their own business and expand the economy of the area, of the community, instead of taking away from them. Now, that's a solution, but those solutions only come up because sometimes even people wouldn't even know that these things are happening, but it is the leaders, the councillors in these areas, the MPs in these areas that probably would push for these things to go to the right departments, right? So then it made me think, what are our leaders doing? And by our leaders, I mean, I know sometimes you think we have to push this, and most of the majority of people pushing and talking are mainly activists, right? All those who are, most people who are oppressed are quiet. But then I'm thinking we can expand this. What are the leaders doing? We have, apart from the MPs, we have shadow ministers. And I would like to think shadow ministers have a role to play. And this role should be putting pressure on the minister of the relative minister for that particular department. Let's say, for example, right now there's kidnap, right? We have a shadow minister of security, for example. I would like to see this shadow minister coming out aggressively, talking about this and pushing so that the other person is not comfortable. Those people are comfortable because we're not pushing enough. Some of us who are talking do not have the platforms. We don't have the voices. We don't, yeah, of course they look at us as, oh yeah, but if a shadow minister comes out and addresses this, not only in his local area, but in his countrywide, right? I would like any of you to go today and look for these shadow ministers. We know them, right? What are they doing about particular issues, about human rights, about whoever is responsible for that, about economy, like the economy of the country? What have you seen them do in the last 6 months, right? What have they done? And if they're not doing those things, how much pressure can we possibly put pressure on them to step up as well? Because they are becoming comfortable, or they are comfortable. They are comfortable, and we need accountability from them because they're supposed to put that pressure on the other guys so that guys act. And these people, I've come to realize that most of them think that their power is stopped within the areas where they're elected as local MPs. And when they go to address people, they stop within those areas where they represent these people. They need to know or realize that they represent the entire country. They need to look at all these different areas and they have to represent every one of them. They actually have a voice that can go beyond Uganda and represent us at an international level. As I conclude, we seem to have left these issues, most of these issues, to one man. And this man is carrying everything, you know. He is talking about human rights, he's talking about injustices, he's talking about health, he's talking about, but these shadow ministers, what are they doing? That's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Be nice. That was very, very good submission. Yes, it's funny when people talk about construction and hotels in Kampala, and then you go to the countryside and it's just abject poverty. You know, it's just okay. Maybe the little towns in the countryside have also grown, but at least in the areas I know where I grew up, when you go to villages, it's just unprecedented poverty, culture collapse. This is again goes back to the point of Bangeni talking about the regime does not care. I mean, of course, they kill the cooperative societies which enabled farmers to market their produce, that intervened when pests, kind of brought extension services to help farmers fight pests and diseases that ravage crops, and basically help them with a lot of technical stuff, seeds and all that. Museveni killed them and never revived it. And now he brings in investors. He wants to take over land so they can have huge farms to plant whatever. He's actually even brought in GMOs. People don't know. It's some, I think Warren Buffett's brother is planting some major in the northern Uganda. They have this big, I think even in Rural, some GMOs, which basically means you are going to be dependent on buying seeds from these Monsantos, these companies, American companies. So you're no longer going to be able to to grow your own, the seeds which we always, now in order to grow any food, you reach a point where we have to buy seeds to do anything. So this is the kind of regime that we have. So that is a very good point. And actually, those malls are mostly owned by these regime sympathizers and so-called investors. Some of them are shadows of the big officials in government. I don't know if anyone saw the little report yesterday. Well, actually, I don't know how accurate it is, but anyway, there was a list that came out of the richest Africans, and this included both businessmen and leaders, political leaders, or former president. And believe it or not, Museveni, I just saw it yesterday, Museveni was number 2. I think only after Ariko Dongate in Nigeria, I mean, it's unbelievable. So this is the kind of, so which means a lot of our resources, our money is being stolen and it's being packed into these so-called hotels, these so-called companies. You have people like Chigundu, who's supposed to be a billionaire, but they say most of these so-called projects are someone else is behind them. So these phantom projects, this phantom hotels and beautiful places, which are enjoyed by a few elites that are benefiting from it, is really it's not development, as you say. But yes, to the point of the shadow ministers and all the MPs speaking out, yes, we have been complaining that they're basically complicit, they're comfortable, they are actually, they went to parliament to, they like to travel, they like to go, they get per diems, like $1,000 a day when they travel, and so they have to be in good books with a Speaker of Parliament to go to these trips. So they enjoy that. They're getting over $100,000, including all the allowances a year. So they're basically living. They don't want to lose that lifestyle, and they basically, Museveni basically corrupted them by all these perks. And not only that, he gives them another $10,000 bribe to vote for whatever he wants. So unfortunately, most of these people are very much, they do. Museveni doesn't care if you speak up and say something and even expose him, so long as you don't really do any major mobilization to make sure that people actually, hold him and the MPs that support him to account. So it's not enough to speak, but we, as you said, we need to mobilize. We have to go to the population and say, guys, this situation is untenable. We have to stand up and hold these leaders, shadow ministers, our MPs to account, speak up for our causes, make sure that, okay, if someone's putting something here, they don't put it in a trunk, hold NEMA, all these government agencies to account, do your job. Don't, stop this kind of degradation that is causing us floods and doing all this damage to us. And make sure that we are getting the loans and, affordable credit, and we are supported culturally. So thank you so much, Be Nice. That was an excellent point. And but for now, let me pick up, because we're running out of time, pick Mr. Mugeni to speak up. Mr. Mugeni, please.
Yes, thank you, Joseph. I had already spoken. I'm just coming back to speak after I got emotional on Shuki Bobby. I hated seeing a mother going to prison with a 6-month-old baby. Joseph, I think I want to encourage you. Be nice. Be nice. I've been thinking always. I was always thinking like you, that you don't have a voice. Then I started exploiting and exploring why I'm in the United States. And I discovered I'm in the United States because I had a voice. I used to write in the newspapers. All the problems I got in Uganda was because I always made comments and wrote in newspapers that made me lose jobs. But again, I have rediscovered myself, or I have rediscovered my voice. If you have seen one of the posts that I've made, I have posted myself seated with I would call him my member of parliament. He's my area representative who has given me months to appear at Capitol Hill every Friday To the extent sometimes I don't know what to tell him, but I have to go. So he makes it so easy for me. I will even sit under a tree and he listens to the stories about Uganda, about myself. And to be sincere, to tell you the truth, I can even say I have now affected so many bills that the House is even debating how do we tap on talent or people they come in as immigrants, but that all? And he called me in their first write-up from Capital, they called me an immigrant of the week. But now I've turned to be an immigrant of the month. I've turned to an immigrant that they must meet. And all we do is speak and tell them about issues, why we migrate from our countries. And I've been able to tell them that my country, for example, has gold, has oil, but we're here begging in the United States. So they listen. So be nice, don't underrate what you can do. As wherever you are, just find your footing, you'll fit in. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the environment issues. Right now we have these cities everywhere. Gulu is a city, Lira is a city, whatever, Jinja is a city. And yet we have failed to deal with the Kampala. The water hyacinth, the algal bloom is an issue of Kampala failing to deal with the sewage, and the water has become fertile. So the issues of the environment go beyond ECOP. There are so many. And yesterday I was discussing with the people of Gulu and Lira on their space, telling them that, cities are planned. They're just not thrown to you. There are going to be a lot of issues to deal with environmental degradation because of cities. And I was showing them how green the cities, where I am. Of course, my state has a few cities, but they're all green. They do planting. They have what we call avenue planting. They have what we call ornamentals as trees. And if you go around, you find a beautiful place, a beautiful country. So it's not just issues like you have already seen Ginger cannot even deal with refuse. They have everything on the streets. So we need a country that is going to go beyond the standard parliamentarians that we are seeing. We need a country that's going to go beyond the standard Ugandan citizens that we are seeing. I have just been discussing with Magogo. Magogo is a member of parliament and he's on FUFA. He's a FUFA president.
Mr. Mugeni,
yes. So I just been telling him
summarize, please.
Yes, I was just telling Magogo this morning that Makerere University has existed for a very long time, and as Makerere, you are now failing to deal with the students, which still translate to what you are failing to. The biggest problem that we have in Uganda, it's not people power, it's not it's failing to handle the youth. There's no sports, there's nothing. So I was just comparing, look at the stadium in my village. I call it a village where I am here. And compared to the Makerere where I have grown, where I have been throughout my sports years, it's still just a pitch. So there are several things that we need to do as Ugandans who are in the diaspora, who are seeing things here and being able to push for a lot of things back home also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mugeni. Yes, indeed, we in the diaspora.
Ye Uganda yaffe ffe tugirimu, ffe bannannyiniyo, ffe baana baawo, era tujja kuba baawo ebbanga lyonna. N'olwekyo kitukakatako, kituvunaanyizibwako okutereeza ewaffe, okutereeza gye tuzaalibwa, okutereeza gye tuwangaalya, okutereeza gye tuziikibwa. Tewali ajja tutereereza ggwanga Uganda. N'olwekyo ffe tulina okugobamu abo bannakigwanyizi abajja obuzi, abataagala Uganda, abaagala ogibba obubbi, abaagala okuginyaga obunyazi. Ate ffe bannanyi tusigale nga tudaaga okubonaabona, okukaaba, okufiira obwemage nga ababbendeku. Kati nno kinkakatako okusituka ne tugamba nti ekimala kimala, tutereeze ensi yaffe, tutereeze eggwanga lyaffe, tutereeze Uganda yaffe, tutereeze nnyaffe Uganda esobole okuba ensi eyeesiimisa. Gwe munneeyagalira, nange munneeyagalira, ffenna tunneeyagalira, n'abaana baffe mwe banneeyagalira. Tunaakikola tutya nga tugamba nti ekimala kimala? Tumenke, twekyawe, twekyange, twekalakaase. Mwami Museveni ave mu ntebe, ate Kyagulanyi alayire nga pulezidenti w'eggwanga Uganda, olwo gujabagire tuvimbe mu Uganda empya. Mbaagala nnyo mwenna abaliko, mwebale kubaako. Omukama Katonda nsaba bankuumire, tujja kuba tuddamu tugambe ebigambo, wataayi mweravu.